I will start. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jimena Sanchez. I'm from ninth grade in the Montessori school from Cartagena. And the Montessori group is very honored to have this amazing and important opportunity with the GLOBE program. So we're very thankful for it.
Good morning, I am Diego Luna, an 8th grade student at the Montessori School in Cartagena. I am a researcher and photographer for the Montessori group, and I am very, very happy to be able to be in this wonderful project. Thank you.
Good morning, or well, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yeah, very well.
My name is Jaime Pinto. I'm an investigator and a researcher of Montessori of this group and I'm excited to be here. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Lito Porto. I'm part of Montessori's group and I'm in ninth grade. Very happy to be here right now.
Welcome.
Okay. Now we can go ahead with the presentation.
All right, we go ahead and share it right now.
Thank you, Brad.
Everybody see that full screen?
Yep.
You do. Thanks, Brian.
All right, here we go.
Greetings from the Montessori School of Cartagena. My name is Jimena Sanchez. Let me introduce my classmates of the Montessori group, Diego Luna and Lito Porto. In this opportunity, we will present to you the results of our project titled Heat Islands and Urban Birds Population, Lácides and Román Park, Cartagena, Indias. We developed this project concerning two globe campaigns, Trees Around the Globe and Heat Island Effects.
Cartagena de Indias, 1 million inhabitants, is located on the Colombian Caribbean coast. Of its 623 square kilometers, 66 are urban. Most of its scenario is marine coastal. The intertropical convergence zone, north and south displacement generate two differentiated seasonal periods. The dry season between December and April with normal strong winds and scattered rainfalls, opposed to the rainy season from August to November, characterized by weak air currents and heavy rains. According to the Oceanographic and Hydrographic Research Center, SAIO, the Cartagena climate is warm, with an air annual mean temperature of 27.8 Celsius degrees, a yearly maximum of 31.2 Celsius degrees, and a minimum of 25.1 Celsius degrees. The total multi-annual yearly precipitation is 1,087 millimeters per month, with October as the highest precipitation with an average of 238.8 millimeters per month. The present study took place in the Manga neighborhood, 1.5 square kilometer island, which is part of the Cartagena Bay system.
This project aims to understand the effects of the cold heat islands on the urban bird populations in the Manga neighborhood. Precisely, these two images synthesize the causes of the heat islands. The picture on the right superior from 1948 depicts Pie de la Popa and Manga above. It contrasts the image on the bottom right generated using Google Earth. It illustrates the changes in land usage. It shows the landfills that had happened through the last 80 years. On the right, the picture shows the monthly mean temperature anomalies 1940 upper left and 2020 left inferior obtained from the website main NASA data. A temperature anomaly is a variation from the average temperature, positive or negative, over a certain period, day, week, month, or year. According to these images, the variation among the monthly mean temperature for the surface temperature, NASA's skin temperature in January in the city of Cartagena.
This slide shows the heat island effect. Note in the center picture the difference between the monthly mean temperature in January 2020 between the urban city center and the rural periphery. The approximate urban center temperature in yellow is 52 Celsius degrees, while the urban boundary, orange, is 44 Celsius degrees. Manga Island is 10 degrees 41 minutes north of latitude and 75 degrees 53 minutes west. The image on the left shows the mean monthly free air temperature, that's a surface temperature, for January 2020 in Celsius degrees.
This research unit explores how the cold heat islands affect the urban bird population across our neighborhood. It is fair to say that Colombia is the most birds diverse country in the world, with more than 1,921 species, 394 in the Bolivar department, and of those 275 are residents, and 84 are boreal migratory birds. This research unit aims to understand the anthropogenic effects on the coastal ecosystem in our area that cause that year after year the number of birds lessens in our park and green zones. According to the bibliography consultant, the combined effects of the high temperatures, urbanism, noise, traffic, and contamination drives birds away.
So the group set the following research question. What is the effect that the cold heat islands exert on the terrestrial and aquatic urban bird population in Manga neighborhood, Lácides and Román Park during the dry season?
We followed the methodology described below. First, organization and planning, bibliography research and protocol revision. Second, baseline and bibliographic research. Third, field trips and information register to verify the current states of the phenomena in the urban cities. This year, due to the pandemic, only our teachers and the leader team and oldest member of our research team, Jaime Pinto, went out to perform bird inventories, trees height, and superficial and free air temperatures measurements to diagnose the phenomena based on the analysis of our data and secondary data.
The group set 9 30 by 30 meter quadrats with an abundant vegetation and crossed by paved streets within these two parks, and left one with no vegetation as a control. The group also measured geographical coordinates for each quadrat and using Google Earth perimeter the vegetation area. Using the Global Survey app and the tools Clouds and Trees, the group measured the trees' height and the meteorological conditions in the study zone. We did 2 5-day campaigns, the first one in December 2020 and the second one in early February 2021, measuring during solar midday the surface temperature, using the infrared thermometer and the free air temperature, using the alcohol thermometer. During the afternoons, the group did the stationary counts of birds in 3 out of 9 randomly picked quadrats twice during 15 minutes, taking care of no recounting. The group calculated the temperature delta as the difference between the surface and free air temperatures and created and calculated a cover index. The average tree height in the 30 by 30 quadrant by the area covered by trees. Using Yamovi statistical software, the group calculated the Pearson's correlation index between pairs of variables. Using satellite data regarding the study area, we could establish 1980 and 2020 January monthly average free air temperature. Finally, the 1940, 1960, 1980, and 2020 free air temperature monthly average anomalies.
In this slide, some of the product outcomes highlight the calculated 5.21 Margaret diversity index for this sector of our neighborhood, which is high and good. Also, it highlights the dominance of the fruit eaters and grain eaters birds, associated with trees, fruits, and seeds, and the scavengers, like the vultures, sovereign birds that depend on the ascending warm air currents.
In these graphs, Markov's diversity index and free air temperatures show a negative relationship, as does the number of functional groups versus the free air temperature. Nevertheless, a striking result is a positive relationship between the temperature's delta and free air temperature. The heat transfer from the ground to the air promotes the warm air ascending currents. It generates and attracts the surrounding birds and explains the positive relationship between these two variables. It is to say that Markov's diversity index involves the number of individuals as the number of species, and the higher the number, the more diverse an ecosystem is.
These graphs show the effect of the combined impact of the average height of the trees in meters and the vegetation area in square meters, the cover index in cubic meters. Consequently, a negative relationship between the cover index and the free air temperature as with the surface temperature and temperature delta. These results confirm the beneficial effect of tall, leafy trees as temperature regulators.
As conclusions of this investigation, the investigation results shed light on the overarching questions of both campaigns, the heat island effects and the trees around globe. Trees present in the study area are primarily dry tropical forest native, favoring birds attraction, highlighting the pink trumpet tree, the Kabbalah tree, Suminango, Madras thorn, or Manila tamarind, and some other introduced species such as mango and the rubber plant.
We demonstrated through this project that non-natural surfaces, like cement and concrete, increase the free air temperature and the surface temperature, exacerbating the heat island effect. And increasing the free air temperature does not favor the presence of birds, nor their diversity. The heat islands will bring, in middle term, a biodiversity loss, with awful consequences to the nearby ecosystems and the index of the quality of life and habitat of the people. Water temperature deltas favor the presence of soaring birds by creating warm air ascending currents, that is, birds' flight efforts.
The change in the study area, among other factors, explain how urbanism promoted an increase by 2.5 Celsius degrees in January's monthly average free air temperature during the last 80 years. It was extremely useful to value that result from multiplying the average tree's height and the vegetation area in the theory by theory quadrant. This investigative unit called it the cover index. We understood the combined effect of the tree's height and the shade they produce. This parameter allows us to see the forest canopy as a volume that buffers and regulates the biotic and abiotic conditions in the ecosystem. Cover index, in cubic meters, equals the average height in meters by the vegetation cover area in square meters. This project contributes to the Sustainable Development Objective. Number 11, Sustainable Cities and Communities. Number 3, Good Health and Well-being. Number 13, Climate Action. And number 15, Life on Land.
As final considerations and recommendations, we strongly recommend reforesting the city using dry forest ecosystem native species and avoiding the introduced species Indian lilac Azaractia indica. We urge the authorities to materialize the delivery of the district of the plot of land of the old municipal public companies, where the city can build a park with all the urban planning recommendations for the enjoyment of the community.
We sincerely express our gratitude to all the organizations and people who helped us make this project possible. Bibliography. On behalf of the Montessori group of the Colegio Montessori of Cartagena, thank you very much.
Wow, that was just yet again super, sorry, I'm moving my little screen up here. You know, super
challenging or cheese with the fast.
Good old words. Love it. It's all good. Hey, that's another example of extremely important research that's being done. And, you know, bringing up this whole idea of the urban heat island, having us better understand what our urban heat island is and the fact that, you know, they certainly, you know, do exist. And as one of you said earlier, you know, climate change is real. This is not a drill, folks. This is really happening. You did a fantastic job. I loved the idea of making the quadrants and going to those quadrants and, you know, doing those two observations and investigating exactly the kind of species that you had and how many. That was wonderful. Also, the way that you realized that the importance for the birds of heat as it rises and having them be able to ride on the thermals, if that is important to the bird's ecology. Just really fabulous work. I hope you'll look in the chat and see that you have a lot of very, very positive remarks for your team. Again, a great job of presenting. Many of us have found that it is helpful to use movies and to use those to present in these days when we're trying to juggle so many different ways and different bandwidth issues that we have. So I did have a question. Well, one thing I wanted to just say, not a question. I love how you took different roles in this team. That is really important. I know how you said one was the photographer and another had this job and another has this job. That's a part of the way that we operate as scientists as well. Because if everyone's doing the same thing or we don't communicate and collaborate, and coordinate, then it doesn't get done very effectively. So really, really nice work. And it was nice that you mentioned these different roles that you have. So my question is, after you have done this research last year, do you have any ideas for, and I see that Peter Falcon is asking the same thing. Do you have any ideas for continuing your research into the next school year?
Well, I would like to answer this question. And as we mentioned in our project, we did all this research in the dry season of our city, for our city. So we're planning because we know that there are many data that we need to collect. There are many ways that we can improve this project. And the first thing we're looking forward is to continue this project during the wet season, the time when it rains, because obviously we will have to do a different methodology, but we're taking that data into a further part of the year. I don't know if my classmates. Yeah.
I will also like to say that I believe that next time, hopefully, we get out of this situation, the pandemic situation we're living, and that we'll have passed and improved, and we can go out and take samples. That is something that can contribute a lot to the project, and that is one of the most wonderful things of investigation, and that is the opportunity to like connect with the environment and our surroundings so that we can take better care of our common home, the earth.
I want to say that, well, it's important to take data, but we have too many data of the dry season. So we were talking, or like, I don't know, 2 weeks, 1 week ago, about how we can improve this situation and this project. So we get to the conclusion that we can compare both like the same ecosystem, but like both stations, dry and wet, and that will like improve the project. And also we can compare, if we compare that, we can see which birds are like more common to see, and we can do many different projects by that comparison.
Wow, excellent reflections. Nice to hear, different ideas from the entire team for considerations. I noticed that one of the scientists whom we've been working with mentions, Brenda, that she also has missed going into the field for observations during the pandemic. I have been doing some some work with different groups that are responding to the pandemic and learning how the pandemic changed different data that we collected. And it really has been very fascinating to see both positive and negative impacts of the changes that were brought about during the pandemic. I think that even though this was a hard year for all of you to live through, your teachers and parents included, you have been making history. And this is going to be something that is written about and learned about and talked about throughout your lifetime. And it's going to be pretty fascinating that you have lived it and done science and collected data during this time. And you're going to have an absolutely remarkable perspective to be able to share. So I know it's been tough, but when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And we can certainly see that you have gotten going. Any last comments before we fly up to Dearborn, Michigan?
I have one question, Dorian.
Yep.
This is Peter. First off, kudos to all the students out there making the most of a really difficult year. I mean, I can't imagine going out and being able to crunch so much numbers and get data and do projects like that. Think about what we just went through over the last year. My question is, first off, thank you, Jimena. You elaborated on my question in the chat box, so thank you for doing that. My question is, what do these students, or what do you guys expect to find with your data in the wet season when you compare that to the dry season? Do you have any thoughts of what you may expect to see once you get that data?
Well, answering to your question, we actually thought about it. And during the wet season here in Cartagena, we can usually see different species of birds. And we kind of are expecting to have a slightly different freer temperature, because the wet season really changes how you feel the air, how the temperature is well, how the temperature is manifested on the floor, on the trees. So we are hoping, or we are expecting to see different data, like lower temperature, and see different species.
Thank you very much.